Hello and welcome to the Addicts Anonymous Podcast. I'm your host, Jim R. Today it's episode 86, and we're going to be interviewing Beth C. How are you doing, Beth?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. You excited to do this or what?
Excited, nervous? Yep, let's do this.
All right, all in one. It's good to be nervous. To step outside your comfort zone, and it usually is for the better. We're gonna have fun today. So let's dive in, get the party started. Tell me about your childhood.
Ooh, I was born and raised until I was 10 in San Bernardino, California. Um, Pretty ghetto, high desert, lots of drugs, lots of gang activity. Um, my
What do you
family,
mean by ghetto? It's just a really bad part of
just,
town.
just, just the ghetto. I mean, a lot of drugs. It's known for a lot of drugs. It's like a high desert is one of the capitals for methamphetamines. So, it's every other house either did meth or cooked meth, you know.
Yeah.
So there's like, yeah, with meth comes lots of violence and gang activity. Um, yeah, I lived there till I was about 10 or 11. Um,
Did you ever witness anything that was like traumatic?
yeah, there was, I remember later on finding out like the deep creek that we used to swim in when I was a kid, they had to shut it down because there were so many bodies in there that
Oh
they
my
couldn't
God.
get all the bodies out, so they had to close it down, and I swam in that shit when I was a kid,
Oh my God.
and it traumatized me just talking about it, Um, seeing dead bodies. I was probably about 8 or 9, the first time I saw a dead body, and it was just over by the creek, something went bad and there's just a body there,
Yeah.
Um, you just see that stuff, it's kind of not that normal, it's just like, get used to it, when you walk somewhere and you smell that smell, something's over there, you don't go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your home life like?
My home life, my dad had died in 95, so when I was probably about 3. So it was just me and my mom, my little brother would
How
come
did your
over.
dad pass?
He was hit by a drunk driver, by a semi truck, and yeah, he died in the hospital from bleeding in the brain. So pretty gnarly getting him hit by a semi truck. But yeah, a drunk driver, you know. Um, yeah. My mom was she's she's an addict. She doesn't really do recovery, but during that time she was using methamphetamines and drinking a lot.
Now, let
Um,
me ask you this question, just going back for a moment. Now that you are a recovering addict yourself, do you forgive that guy for what he did?
yes, yeah, definitely.
Because I was going to say that takes a lot of strength. I don't know if I would be able to, I'm asking you that question while myself. I don't know if I'd be able to. That's why I'm asking that. I give you a lot of credit, a lot of
Yeah,
credit. Credit is due. Um, but that's a hard thing to do.
yeah. It's it's I'm a believer that everything happens for a reason. Even the bad stuff. And my mom tried to raise me not to hate my dad, but also to be aware that he wasn't the greatest person, you know um and that was why she kind of kept me away from my dad's side of the family. So I don't know anyone from my dad's side of the family because they're just really raging addicts and just really like dark magic, just evil, like just don't want anything to do with that part of their family, that part of my family. um so I kind of like I couldn't really hold resentments because it was a man that I didn't know, and that I grew up to know that my life probably would have been a lot worse if he were alive. You know, um, my mom might have not made it if he was still alive. So it was one of those things to be aware of, you know, from, since a young age. I mean, my mom used to drive around high and drunk all the time, because she was in her addiction, um, and I've had to accept and forgive my mom a lot more than anybody in my life, that she's an addict, I have to look at her more of, I can't look at her as my mom, because if I look at her as my mom, I get resentful. I have to look at her as an addict, like she's an addict, she's a recovering addict. She might not be in recovery, but she's a recovering addict, I didn't understand that until I got clean.
What was life like at school for you?
Ooh. In San Bernardino, it wasn't too bad, when I was younger, because I grew up there, so it was all right. But once I moved to North County, San Diego, with my aunt, like, I was very ghetto talky, I was like this little hood rat growing up in San Bernardino to moving to Carlsbad, where all the Valley kids are and the rich kids, and like, so I be talking all like hood, and these kids are like, these rich kids are like, whoa, like, what is this? So it was really hard once I moved to North County. It was, I did not fit in whatsoever. Nobody really accepted me because I was just too either completely quiet or just like, hey, what's up, dog? What's up, fool? Da 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 da. Like, and all the kids are like, whoa, what's up with this white kid? Like, And they ended up actually transferring. They ended up transferring me and my little brother to a different elementary school because I guess we were too wild, So I ended up going from Buena Vista Elementary and getting sent to Jefferson Elementary, which was more in the barrio area of Carlsbad.
I need to go to school.
You need to go to school?
Now my people.
Can you go over there, baby? Here, you can have.
So, what age did you first encounter any type of substance like drugs or alcohol?
When I was 4, my older brother gave me a cigarette. I remember that was the first time I smoked a cigarette.
4 years old?
4 years old. My brother was very yeah, I remember he was in a blood gang before he even left San Bernardino. I was 8 or 9. He was in a blood gang. I remember him going to juvie or a group home or something, trying to kill someone with a knife. He was hardcore. But yeah, the first time I smoked a cigarette, I was 4. We started stealing them from my mom when I was probably like 8. Yeah, and then I was like 8 or 9. Yeah, and I hit a joint when I was 8 or 9 with my older brother. Same one I smoked a cigarette with. But the first time I did a hardcore drug was when I was 13. I didn't line a meth, and once I did that, I was hooked. I was hooked.
Wow, going back to when you were 8 years old, I mean, where did you find this stuff?
My older brother.
All of it came from him?
Yeah, well, no, the weed and taking sips of beer, the cigarettes came from him because we lived in San Bernardino. The drugs were everywhere. He didn't give me meth, but yeah, all the other stuff was everywhere, and he was doing it. Like, hey, you want to hit this? Running around the desert. Why not? Let's hit this. Yeah, that was pretty gnarly. But once I was 13, I hit that. Once I hit the line of meth, I was stuck. I was done. Yeah, I started stealing from cars, ditching school. Oh man.
And you said that's all that you broke up a little bit. So that all kicked off when you started using meth, you said?
Yeah, when I started using meth. I mean, my brother got sent to a group home when I was probably about 10, like right before we moved to North County, and he abused me when I was younger, and it wasn't until right before we moved that I told my mom, like of the neighbor that abused me, but I didn't tell her about my brother abusing me because I didn't know how to like admit it,
Wait, so
you know.
back up a second. The neighbor, what happened with the neighbor?
The neighbor threatened me with a gun when we went to Deep Creek, went to Lake Creek to go swim, and he told me to come to his apartment, and we went to his apartment, and he showed me a gun. He's just like, "Thank you, baby," and he's just like, "I'm gonna kill you and your family if you don't do this." And I was like, okay, so I had to go over there every day.
So he
Go
said,
do it.
you said you're breaking up a little bit, or you're speaking very low. You said he was going to kill you.
Yeah, he said he would kill my family first, and then he would kill me if I didn't do what he wanted every single day. So I had to go over to his house every day. And I think that lasted, I don't know, maybe half a year until he moved out. And then around the same time, my brother started abusing me.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
How did that happen? If you mind me asking, what kind of stuff would he do?
Well, just everything, you know, from just molestation to forced blowjobs to trying to have sex with me, but I was so small it didn't like work, you know. Baby, go play over there, please.
It's 2 pins.
Thank you. Yeah, but he ended up getting sent away when I was probably about 10. I moved to, well, my mom and her bad addiction to meth got us to the point where we were in and out of hotels. And I was just like, okay, forget this. I'm running away, you know? And I call my aunt and I tell her, I live in Carlsbad, and I tell her, you know, I'm gonna run away. And she's like, just stop. I'll be there tomorrow. And so she came and picked me up the next day, you know, and I told my mom if she ever wanted to see me again, she had to stop using meth, you know, just stop, you know. And so I moved to Carlsbad, and I went from the ghetto and in and out of hotels and all the gang activity and the drugs around me to Carlsbad, the beach, lagoons, and really nice houses, you know, like complete opposite of anything I've ever seen. And yeah, I moved into a condo with my aunt, and it was like amazing. And I remember like the first or second day that I was there, with this condo over the lagoon. And the first or second day I was there, I didn't know anything about Camp Pendleton. You know, it's a base over in Oceanside, but I didn't know anything about it. And they're like doing experimental bombs in the ocean, and the whole like everything vibrated. And I was like, whoa, what the hell? You know, and not too long ago, September 11th happened. So I thought we were going to war. I was like, oh my God. So I called my aunt thinking we're all going to die, you know, because the base is going off, you know. It's like, no, that's okay. It's just Camp Pendleton, you know. And it was, yeah, it was how could that right there changed my complete life. You know, if I would have stayed in the high desert, I would have been way worse in my addiction. Then could have been a lot worse than what they became. My mom ended up moving to North County after a couple years and living with my grandma and grandpa and getting clean, getting a job and doing everything. I ended up moving with her after a while, right down the street from my aunt. And my little brother was kidnapped by his grandpa after his grandma died, and his dad died. And
What do you mean? What do you mean kidnapped?
They like straight up kidnapped. Like his grandpa was like a cop, but he's a dirty cop.
Is that your dad
And
or your spouse's
no,
dad or your ex?
no, this is my little brother. We had different dads.
Look at my nails.
Wow. Hold on, not right now, baby. I know we painted your nails.
Yeah, look at my nails.
Isabella, stop it.
No.
No, you need it. So go over there, please. Go over there. Okay, where was it? So mom moved back. I moved in with her, started going to school. That's when, you know, me not fitting in at all. That's what made me isolate because I didn't fit in with anybody. And well, I didn't fit in with anybody, so like the only way to get any friendships or anything was to go and ditch school, you know? Ditch school, go get some bottles, invite kids to the house, and I'll get fucked up. So that's what we did. Okay, Bella, you need to move. Okay, okay. Oh, it's my 3-year-old. Bella. Yeah. So started drinking mostly and smoking weed. And then, with that came people that were like, okay, this is the house that we can hang out at and get high during the day when everybody's supposed to be at school, And so it was our house, it was the hangout spot to get messed up. And so when you have a house like that, older kids start coming with drugs,
Yeah.
real drugs, not just weed and alcohol. And
what kind of drugs?
Yeah, the real stuff. And
what's the real stuff?
I did my first one at 13.
You did your first
and
line of what?
Methamphetamine.
Meth. What's
And-
13?
and- Yeah. And not long before that, I was 13, almost 14. Not long before that, my older brother had gotten out of his boys' home because he turned 18. And he was just came home, I called him out, told give it to me. So that was interesting. So it didn't stop on his head. So he got mad, started doing meth, and that made him